Hey man, what's good y'all? It's your Survivor, and today we got a video on one of my favorite artists, Roddy Ricch, and today is about, sadly, the sad downfall of Roddy Ricch. In my opinion, listen, he's still one of the best rappers out here. I don't know too many artists that one of their records is diamond, so I don't know how you can fall, how he fell off. But we gonna find out today, so let's get into the video.
A couple years ago, Roddy Ricch was the hottest new rapper in the world.
Okay.
So how did he go from racking up billions of streams to getting clowned after every new drop? Today we're breaking down the story behind his shocking downfall.
It's Ricch.
Compton is one of the deadliest spots on the West Coast. The blocks are run by a bunch of different blood and crib sets, so when you walk out of your crib, you never know what's gonna go down. A lot of people never make it out, but it's also the home of some of the most legendary dudes in the rap game. Dr. Dre, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Suge Knight all rep Compton and put it on the map back in the 90s. And now dudes like YG, The Game, and Kendrick Lamar are putting on for the new wave. Roddy Ricch came up in the same place and was surrounded by violence from a young age. He was always into music and started rapping for his family when he was just 8 years old. But by the time he was in high school, Roddy was repping the Park Village Compton Crips and putting in work in the streets. Even before he jumped off the porch, Roddy was
He was hitting licks to pay his phone bill for the month. I was hitting licks to pay my phone bill for the month. I think Roddy said on one of the songs. What love?
He having serious problems though. He was in therapy from the 8th to 10th grade for anger issues and antisocial behavior, but he quit going to the sessions and put both feet in the trenches. He told Rolling Stone that the first time he hit a lick with some other Crips, they tested him to make sure he wasn't rolling with them to get a bag without putting in any work. They pulled up to a spot to rob, and Roddy hopped right out and smashed the window with a rock to prove he was really about it. After that, he started kicking in doors and moving weight. Eventually, his mom found out and kicked Roddy out of the house. And after that, he just went deeper into the street life. It wasn't a game though, and on the night he got kicked out, Roddy was walking down the block and saw a street corner that was totally covered in blood. While he was stepping through the puddle of blood, he told Rolling Stone he was thinking, I could die, just like that person died right there. That still wasn't enough to make him switch up though. But then something went down that made Roddy change everything. When he was 18, Roddy crashed his whip and was facing a gun charge. They kept him in jail for a week before he could post bail. And the time behind bars gave him some time to think about the situation. He knew that he could either stay in the streets and end up dead or in prison, or he could put his energy into something else. Roddy saw his homies getting locked up and dying, and that's when he decided to hop in the booth full time. He had already been rapping for years, but it was just on the side. But even when he was in the streets, there was something pushing him into the rap game. Back in the day, Roddy always went to church with his mom in Compton, and it turned out that Kendrick Lamar and his family went to the same one. When Roddy was around 12, Kendrick was just getting started and hadn't blown up yet, but already had a buzz in the city. Roddy spit a freestyle for him one day at church, and Kendrick told Roddy that he was going to be something special. After he spent that week in jail, Roddy hopped in the booth and started laying down tracks for his debut mixtape, Feed the Streets.
One of the best albums, one of his best albums, like hands down. I still listen to that to this day. Feed the Streets 1. If you guys know about Feed the Streets 1, that's how you know you're real. That's how you know you're real Roddy Ricch fans. So Feed the Streets 1 was tough. The album is tough. I ain't gonna lie.
He had a totally different style from everyone else on the West Coast. And Roddy said spending time in Chicago and Atlanta helped create his own lane. When Feed the Streets came out in 2017, Roddy's name was buzzing off tracks like Hood Rich and Fuck It Up. And not before long, huge artists like Meek Mill and Nipsey Hussle were reaching out. Roddy knew he had to keep the momentum up, so he dropped another tape a few months later, and Nipsey Hussle featured him in front of a massive crowd at one of his shows in LA. Roddy had only been in the game for a few months, but he was already starting to pop off. Then in July 2018, Roddy Ricch put out the song that changed everything for him. On the same day that XXXTentacion was tragically shot and killed, Roddy hit the studio and recorded the track Die Young. Die Young,
one of the best songs. One of his best songs. His hit. That's one of the hit songs though. His hit song. Like, that was a stamp. That was like his foot in the door. That's when he started to put his foot in the door. Like, that was the first song I ever heard from Roddy. When I heard that, I said, who's this? I was like, who is this guy? And who is this sound? This sound, like, who is this guy? And that's how I knew, like, he's him.
Offer ran crazy numbers up on YouTube and Spotify. It was the biggest win of his career so far, but at the same time, Roddy was dealing with another tragic loss. While he was building his buzz in the rap game, Roddy's best friend was locked up and couldn't celebrate any of the success with him. His friend finally got out and came to the Die Young release party, and it looked like Roddy was going to be able to get his homie out of the streets too. But then just 4 weeks later, he was killed during a high-speed chase. Roddy didn't let the loss slow him down though. He linked up with Meek Mill, Future, and Young Thug on the track Splash Warning, and then he dropped his tape Feed the Streets 2 and hit number 67 on the Billboard 200 chart. 2018 was a huge year for Roddy, but nobody expected what was coming in 2019. In February 2019, Roddy hopped on Nipsey Hussle's track Racks in the Middle. It popped off and even got Roddy his first Grammy nomination for Best Rap Performance. Nipsey was one of the first dudes to reach out when Roddy was just getting started. He showed Roddy how to move in the industry and even helped him get his first deal. There were rumors they were working on a full project together, but 1 month after Racks in the Middle dropped, Nip was tragically murdered in LA. Roddy went through 2 losses at the biggest moments of his career.
So he lost his mentor and he lost his best friend. Like, that's very hard to come by from. That's very hard to come by. Like, I can't imagine losing anybody in my life. You know what I'm saying? So imagine losing the 2 most important people to you. You know what I'm saying? It's hard. It's hard. So I feel like people need to let up and just take it easy.
The deaths had a huge impact on him, but he stayed on his grind the whole time, and by the end of 2019, Roddy had turned himself into a superstar. He spent only 2 years building his name up in the industry. Roddy already had hot singles and features with some of the biggest artists in the game, but by the time he dropped his debut album, Please Excuse Me for Being Antisocial, in December 2019, the hype was on a crazy level. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and spent 4 weeks at the top. Nobody had done that since 50 Cent dropped his classic Get Rich or Die Trying album back in 2003. Roddy was already one of the hottest new rappers in the game, but his track The Box is what took his fame to another level. He didn't even release the song as a single before the album came out because he didn't know it was going to be a hit. But when he officially released it in January 2020, the song hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and stayed there for 11 straight weeks. The rest of 2020 was massive for Roddy. He linked up with Meek Mill for a Nipsey Hussle tribute, hopped on tracks with Gunna and A Boogie, then hit number 1 again with The Baby and their track Rockstar. That was only the second time someone had 2 number 1 singles in the same year since Ed Sheeran did back in 2017. And by that point, everyone knew Roddy wasn't just a one-hit wonder. He won Album of the Year at the BET Awards, got nominated for 6 Grammys, and Variety named him the breakthrough artist.
He got nominated for 6 Grammys in his second year. In his second year of rapping, he got nominated for 6 Grammys. 6 Grammys. He Grammy nominated, yo. Fake.
2020. Apple Music also gave Roddy Album and Song of the Year and announced that The Box won Most Streamed Song of the Year. The hype around Roddy Ricch was crazy, and he told GQ that his next album was already finished and said, the next album is going to be a full-blown masterpiece, a real idea, a real body of work. Fans couldn't wait to hear what was coming next, but little did they know, Roddy's career was about to fall off a cliff. In 2021, Roddy only dropped a couple singles and features while he was trying to hype up his next project. He started falling off out of nowhere, and it was like he just took his foot off the gas. It had been 2 years since his last album, and his fans were getting tired of waiting. Roddy was hyping it up like he was about to drop a classic, but when his second album finally came out on December 17th, 2021, it was so bad that it almost killed his career overnight. The album still sold 62K in the first week. Those are definitely good numbers for most artists, but it was a massive fall off after his first record racked up over 100K in the same time. Critics and fans weren't really rocking with the album, plus Roddy had more serious issues going on that year too. While he was out in Atlanta shooting a music video with 42 Doug, things turned deadly after someone started letting off shots and 2 dudes got hit. 2022 was an even worse year for him. In February, he was trying to get his numbers back up and previewed a new track for his fans, but everyone hated it so much that it made Roddy deactivate his Twitter and Instagram. After everyone started clowning him over the snippet, Roddy posted a peace sign on IG and said, "Guess I'm a flop now."
I didn't like when he did that. He shouldn't have given that satisfaction. Don't give him that satisfaction. Like, I don't like when he did that. He didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? He's not a flop. He wasn't a flop, and he didn't have to say he gets you a flop now, because you never were a flop. Like, you know what I'm saying? But sometimes the heat can get to you so much that it have you thinking that you are, because everyone said it, but it's not. You know what I'm saying?
All the negativity was getting to him, and Roddy ended up taking it out on the paparazzi. A dude spotted Roddy on the street, loaded boxes into his whip, and started filming and trying to talk to him. Roddy's security stepped in to make the dude back off, but when he went back across the street, Roddy walked up and pressed the paparazzi over it. He told the cameraman to turn it off so he could talk to him like a man, but when the dude refused, Roddy got heated and just walked off. Roddy already had a lot of drama going on, and then it got even worse after a singer named Greg Perry filed a lawsuit against Roddy over his biggest hit.
Damn.
According to the lawsuit, Roddy stole the chords from his track Come On Down and used them for the box. Roddy isn't the first dude who allegedly used the track. Young Jeezy sampled it back in 2008 and gave up 60% of the royalties to Perry. And Yo Gotti used the same song for his track, I Remember, in 2016. It looks like the suit is still going on, but if the situation goes left for Roddy, it could put a huge dent in his pockets. The box is his biggest hit record to date, so getting the royalties taken away would be a massive loss. It's not clear if the lawsuit will hurt his bank account yet, but Roddy already lost a big bag in 2022. He was supposed to perform a huge show at the Governor's Ball in New York, but when he pulled up to the spot, a security guard allegedly saw Roddy trying to hide a gun in his whip. The guard got the cops involved, and Roddy got booked on weapons charges right before he was about to hit the stage. According to reports, Roddy gets paid around $500,000 for a show, so getting locked up
$500,000 for a show, child. $500,000 for every show. Fair, that's top tier money. Now that's top tier money. Man.
That was a huge loss. What made the situation even worse is that the case got dropped the very next morning, so Roddy missed out on $500,000 over nothing. And that night, he went to Summer Jam and said, 2023 did not start well for Roddy either. He went viral for shoving a fan and tried to put his arm around him for a picture.
You can go to that.
Roddy clapped back and said that he just wasn't down with random dudes who don't know him trying to put their arm around his neck. Roddy came up in the trenches and lost a lot of people to the streets, so it makes sense for him to be careful. But
you do know that the man did say he was antisocial. You know the man said that, but people are acting as if they don't hear. People are asking, they know they hear. The man said he was antisocial, but you guys don't listen. All right.
A lot of fans weren't cool with how he handled the situation. A couple months after that, Roddy was live on IG and decided to play some new music for the fans who were still tapping in with him. Before he played the new track, he had around 12K on his live. But as soon as the music started, the viewer count fell off a cliff. He lost 5,000 people in less than a minute. And at that point, it was clear that people weren't rocking with the new track.
That doesn't mean nothing. That don't mean nothing.
He was taking over the whole game. If he kept the momentum up, he'd already be a superstar competing with dudes like Drake. But instead, he hit the brakes on his own career and fumbled it all away. Maybe he'll make a comeback with another hot track at some point, but right now it seems like even his old fans are getting tired of waiting for him to drop good music again.
We know. Listen, man, I'm a very fan. We not hating on Roddy, you know what I'm saying? We waiting for him to come back, you know what I'm saying? Take all the time you need because we know you're going to come back greater, you know what I'm saying? Roddy Ricch, the best artist alive right now, you know what I'm saying? And he number one. He went number one with the box. 11 weeks straight, but Jack came up with the box, so that's what he did. So, listen, I ain't gonna lie, I don't like how everyone's trying to hit on him, but that's what happens when you're great. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. VVS Cause the Vibe Beyond. And listen, best believe when Roddy Ricch comes out with a new album, we will be reacting to it. So you guys stay tuned. We go.